The luxury industry is dominated by European brands. But will there be a time when Asia will be able to produce luxury brands like Europe has? Or would it be right to say that Asia can never create luxury brands? A panel of experts, including Charu Sachdev, John Aiton, Radha Chadha, and Frank Dardeen, try to answer these pertinent questions.
The definition of a luxury brand still is about talismanic power. It's about a global brand. It means money. It means advertisements. It means ambassadors of a very powerful profile in the world. It means fashion shows. And that's luxury. Is that only luxury, or the cultural embassies, the cultural exchange that the exchange of luxury has brought has changed this definition? So let's start and see what everyone has to say, and we'll take it further. Radha, it's your turn first, please.
Thank you, Shefali. I think that at this point, it is true that Asia doesn't have star, global, reaching luxury brands, but I believe that it can and it will create them in the future. I have just 2 points that I will talk about, and my first point actually has nothing to do with luxury brands, but the point is that Western dominance in field after field, industry after industry, has been broken by Asian companies and players. My second point is that Asia has 2 important boxes that it ticks when there are several ingredients needed to create a luxury brand, and Asia has 2 very important ones. One is heritage. Our nations, you take India, you take China, you take Japan, you take South Korea. These are really old, historic countries. They have the history and heritage. Second thing they have is living artisanal skills and craftsmen. So these are 2 important things that are there. The point I'm trying to make is that in today's globalized world, you don't have to do everything on your own. You can buy the rest of the skills, resources, or even get capital from anywhere else in the world.
Charu, do you disagree? If you do, the floor is yours.
Well, I'm clearly here to debate, so I have to disagree. So I think it's very important to understand that when you're referring to brands, the brand needs to transcend beyond the boundaries of where it originates from. Of course, bringing with it certain aspects that are true to the brand. A brand doesn't necessarily have to reflect the country from which it originates from. It has to reflect quality. It has to reflect a certain standard, an experience, a feeling that is associated with the brand. When you pick up, I don't know, a Cartier piece of jewelry, there's a feeling that you get from it. It's not something that you buy from GK Market in gold and diamonds. Of course, that's very beautiful as well. But when it's Cartier, there's a feeling. It's all, brands and luxury brands especially are linked with feelings. Also, I think what's very important is that besides luxury brands having, this global experience, there has to be a limited availability of that global experience. I think also there's a strong perception, which I think it's our own perception, being Indians or Asians, but made in China does not connote a concept of luxury. And I think that explains, again, that certain technologies or qualities of production really lie in certain areas of the world. And certain leather production, as an example, when you're producing shoes or bags, we have to admit where we're not strong at and where we are strong at. We may be very good at producing jewelry, but we're also very good at producing jewelry that is cheap. And somewhere there's a lack of quality and deliverability. And the minute we try and do that, there's a shortcut. So again, the chalta hai concept that applies in most Asian mentalities. You may approach different artisans from around the world, but it's still, the area of production is not relevant. It's what the brand represents. So unless and until we're really clear about what we're trying to sell in a brand, we're never going to really be able to produce luxury brands. And I think that's really what I've been trying to say.
Frank, your turn, please.
But that's true that what embodies for us luxury brands today is a certain conception of luxury, which originates in some luxury brands, which originated in the 19th century. Since all those spheres of luxury, from bags, from a certain kind of fashion, from watches, have been funded in Europe, Europe has this kind of advantage of the first mover. Europeans have defined the categories. And that's why, if of course we can see some Asian player, but very often they will take a local inspiration, manage it in a Western way, but will always be in a kind of niche approach. Of course, there can be a Shanghai Tang. There can be fantastic brands now in those fields, but always there will be in a positioning referring to a category which is mainly Western. And point is that if we don't limit ourselves to those categories which originate in the 19th century, that's true that we can, Asian countries can be at par with European countries.
John, the field is yours.
I see a long and difficult road for Asian luxury brands going forward. I'll just pick out one particular point. I think that luxury brands really have to reflect their origin. And I think for any Asian brand to become truly global, it's got to reflect where it comes from. So I've said it yesterday that I think that the advice that I have been given is it takes 10 years for a luxury brand to establish itself in its home market. And it takes at least another 10 years for a brand to go abroad and be able to claim that it is global in some sense. And I think that first 10 years, and this is talking as an entrepreneur, is about the adoption of that brand by the native marketplace. So if we're talking about an Indian brand becoming a global brand, it has to be adopted by the Indian luxury marketplace before it goes abroad. Now, I can't see that happening. That is my problem with this motion. I can't see an aesthetic being created within the Indian market that Indians love and adopt and are willing to pay that premium that luxury is all about, and create that story and that heritage, and then being able to take that wonderful creation and market that to a global audience. I'm not sure it's what the Indians want, and I'm not sure it's what the global marketplace wants.
And that's all we have for you in this Mint Special. Thanks for watching.